Good afternoon. I'm Stewart Thompson, and I work for Intergas.
Okay, Stuart. So tell me all about Intergas. Who are they? Where are they based? What do you guys do? And how, in any way, is it related to net zero?
Okay. Intergas are part of a bigger group called the Rheem Group in the UK. We're predominantly known for boiler manufacturing, and the same in the Netherlands. But we are part of an international um, group of manufacturers, everything really to do with domestic water heating and space heating products. And I think the business has really been on a journey as we transition from burning fossil fuels. They see that that's not a sustainable business model long term. So we're on that. The business itself is on at the beginning of that low carbon journey. Hence launching a range of hybrid heat pumps and also full on standalone monoblock heat pumps as well.
So, how have you found it sort of emerging yourself in that new market, getting to launch a new product and do something different?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Thank you. I think go back in my personal career history. I used to work for an electric heating manufacturer selling storage heaters, and nobody really wanted those. I didn't have many friends. And suddenly, I changed then over to a heat pump manufacturer, and everybody wanted to be my friend. But that was nearly 20 years ago. And back in those days, I used to spend a lot of time really explaining what is a heat pump, how it works. I think we've moved on a lot since then, and people now are looking at, well, how can that integrate? How can I use it in my home? What's best for me? And we're getting into a lot more technical questions. People ask some technical questions like, what's your seasonal performance or your global warming potential of the refrigerant? Really quite techie stuff, and I'm quite taken back. It's nice. So it's not only me that's been on the journey, but I think homeowners have as well, and are starting to engage more. And really, if you think about it, we're still pioneers at the forefront of how we're going to heat our homes in the future. We don't have to keep setting fire to something to get warm.
How have you found the sort of consumer shift and awareness, I guess, of changing from a fossil fuel based thing to a more sustainable thing?
Yeah, I think it's challenging because people generally don't, they fear what they don't know. Have us a little story about this journey we're on, and how we're pioneers at the forefront of how people are going to heat their homes. And generally, to get warm, we've always set fire to stuff, haven't we? We used to chop down trees. Then we discovered coal, which fired the industrial revolution, and then in the 60s and 70s there was the dash for gas. But that's not the future. So my little story is, my grandson Zach, who's 6, when he comes to buy his first home, probably another 20 years, he'll come to me and he'll say, so Grandad, just let me get this right. You used to have this flammable gas piped into your house and you set fire to it. And when you think about it, that's all we're still doing, is still setting fire to stuff. The reality is, we need to, as a nation, we need to be able to produce our own energy. And with the technology we have today, that energy is electric. And that's why we're going down this route of the electric economy. And also, it can be very green how we produce the electric as well.
Can you tell me a little bit about why your business got involved with anything net zero club related in the first place? Why? Why this conference? Why come and sit and talk to people about your products and what you're doing?
Okay, it's again, a very good question. Thank you for that. It's I think it's important that we spread the news and the information and the knowledge, and it's a great venue to come and do that. It's lovely to be up here in Scotland. I've brought the sun with me today as well, which is nice. But there's some very important clients here today, and people still need informing. There've been a lot of questions today about, we really want to do this. There's a real demand, and it's a real want to do, is to reduce carbon emissions. But how can they do that affordably? So at Intergas we have an extend unit, which is hybrid, bivalent, which gives people that soft landing into the technology. Just like people transitioning to all electric vehicles, hybrid car, we have a hybrid heat pump, reduce your carbon emissions, probably the lowest capital cost option to do that in the home, and then that will start to future-proof, and people then become familiar and comfortable with the technology. They won't be afraid to take that step to go all electric.
What one bit of advice would you give to somebody who wants to make a sustainable change in their life, perhaps even wants to embark on a net zero journey, just doesn't know where to begin or what to do next to make that a reality? What would you say to them?
I think from a heating and hot water point of view, I think the ethical thing to say to that would be, and if it's led particularly by a budget monetary value, it's probably worth looking at fabric first. So reduce the amount of heat load that you have, so you can have, obviously then you use less energy, you'll create less CO2, and also you'll be able to put a smaller heat pump in, which will be even less money to run and less capital cost for the homeowner. So I think from a heating, hot water point of view, it's really fabric first is what I'd say. So do the cheap things, loft insulation, cavity wall, reduce the amount of heat loss you have in your property before you really start investing in this wonderful technology, which does work. It's the ethical thing to do. It's the right thing to do, But the heat loss of a building is a heat loss. There's a lot of misinformation around heat pumps that they're only suitable for new build, highly insulated properties. That's just not the case. The heat load is the heat load, whether you're heating it with a heat pump, electric heaters, gas, oil, or whatever. But if you can reduce that heat loss, that's the best thing to do.